Do you have a bunch of those tumbling tower blocks and you're just wondering what to do with them? Well, stay tuned. Hi, my name is Leslie and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today I have for you 5 super cute projects. One we're going to be working on in preparation for Christmas that you can do with the tumbling tower blocks. Now, don't forget to stick around until the very end and I'll have a hint for you on one of next week's projects. So, let's get started. And let's take a sneak peek at today's 5 projects. Aren't they beautiful? And let's get started with project number 1. I love this cute little bench. And here are all the tumbling tower blocks that you will need for this project. So we are going to start by building the pieces for the planter boxes that'll go on either side of the bench. So we're going to put together 2 blocks and set them aside and let them dry. And we will do this for a total of 4 sections right now, and that'll be enough for 1 planter box. 3 sides and a bottom. And once we get that all put together, then we will start working on the seat for the planter bench. Now I used some clamps to hold some of these together, but the majority of them I just let them dry on their own. And I am using the wood glue by Super Glue that you can buy at Dollar Tree, along with my tumbling tower blocks. All right, now that we have some of those pieces together for the planter box, we are going to pull out the 9 pieces that we will need for the bench seat. And as I worked on these tumbling tower block projects, I realized there was a quicker and easier way to do that. So see if you can figure that out as you go through the video. But I'm going to start by putting 2 pieces together and letting them get good and solid, and keep doing that until I get all the pieces put together. And then I will glue the 2-piece parts together. And once this is all done, then I'll glue the whole seat together, and I will set that aside to dry. Now, if you wanted to make sure that this dried a little quicker or held together a little quicker, you can use the combination of the wood glue and hot glue or hot wood glue, depending on what your preference is. I just didn't want the extra bumps in there, and so I'm just using the wood glue all by itself. And so I'm going to take 2 little pieces and I am going to put them on the ends of this little bench, and those will be my armrests for the bench. And now we're going to work on the back. So I'm going to take all 9 pieces and lay them out, and I'm going to take 1 as the top and 2 on either side, and I'll do that for 2 of the blocks. And then I'm going to take a center one and put a single block on it. Once I get those all secure, then I will glue all 9 of those pieces together, and that will form the back. And while I let these sections dry, I am going to put together the planter boxes, and I am just gluing them side to side. And I'll set those aside. At this point, I haven't put the bottoms on them, but I did decide they needed bottoms before I put the bench together. So we're going to go ahead and put that back of the bench together with a little bit of that wood glue. I love this wood glue by Super Glue. It works really well, and it gives you enough time to set while you're waiting on it to dry. But it does a pretty good hold as long as you use enough of it. So we have glued our bench to our back, and now we're going to put on our legs. And I just put 1 leg on each corner, and I face them out. And now you can see I've added the bottoms onto those planters for the side of the bench, and we're going to glue both of those on. And then I'm going to take some of this antique wax by Waverly, and I'm going to give it a good coat of stain all over, and then do a quick dry brushing with some white. And I just cut a few eucalyptus stems, and here we are, all complete. I think this is so adorable. And I would love to have a large size of this. Not built with tumbling tower blocks, of course, but this is just a really cute little bench. And that will bring us to project number 2. I love this well, and it will require 78 blocks, which is just 8 blocks more than one full box of the tumbling tower blocks. Now, I had some of these in my craft supplies that were just the plain wood look, but the ones that I found recently have this plain wood along with a brown painted kind of wood look. But for this one, I'm just going to use the plain wood block because I am going to stain them. So I figured out exactly how many blocks I was going to need for this whole project and kind of laid those all out. And once I've got all of them laid out, I'm going to push them in a pile, and I am going to stain these before I put them together. And so now I'm working on the 3 that you will need for the sides of the well that will hold up the roof, and then I'm going to put together the 24 pieces that you will need for the wood roof. And again, I'm going to push those all into a pile and just start using my antique wax and put on a Netflix show and just stain to my heart's content here until I got this whole pile of blocks stained. I've found the best way to apply this antique wax is with a baby wipe and some gloves so that you're not getting it all over your fingers and under your fingernails. But we're going to start by just gluing those 3 support pieces for the roof together. And I guess I did not film it, but I gave those a quick chop with my miter shears and angled them off so that they fit really nicely inside of the roof line, so that that can hold up. And here I am gluing together the 6 pieces that you will need for each one of the roof panels, and I'll do 4 total roof panels. So once I've got those glued together, then I will set that aside and I will start working on the wishing well itself. And so one of the things that I've recently found with this wood glue is it's a little bit more difficult to find it at Dollar Tree. And I asked the other day when I went in, and he took me to the teacher supplies, and then where all the glue is, and then he took me to craft supplies, and then he took me to hardware, and turns out they didn't have any. So when you find it, make sure that you grab a couple of bottles because this is really the best stuff. And so I am just alternating the design on that wishing well. And then we're going to start putting the roof line together. So I will push 2 pieces together, and that will make one side of the roof and the other 2 pieces. And then I'm going to put the flat edge inside of the other edge. And I've glued on my braces, and I glued all that to the well part itself. Now these little tin buckets I found in the party supplies, I think they were in with the wedding stuff. And I'm just going to drill a teeny little hole in the roof line and put in a little bit of this tan wire, and that will support that little bucket in there, and then this project will be complete. And make sure before I cut that wire that I had enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bucket inside, and then I'm going to feed the other side of that wire through that hole, and so it'll be essentially a double length of that wire. And then we're going to put those pieces together and kind of give them a little twirl and kind of set that up at the top, and then our bucket will be good and secure. So I'm just going to take this and just clip those pieces together and really get them really tight with these jewelry pliers. and set that on top of the roof, and you don't even really notice it. I suppose I could have glued it just to give it one more little bit of stability, but there we are, all complete. And isn't that just adorable? I just think this is so super cute, and it will make a really cute decor piece. When I grew up as a little girl, we didn't have a well on our property like this, but we had one of those old-fashioned pumps, and when my parents would kick us outside for the summer, we'd be able to pump our fresh water from there. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and that will bring us to project number 4. This little table and chairs only takes 35 blocks. And so I decided to use those brown painted, they're not really painted though, blocks for this particular project, and I will be painting them. So we're going to start with the base of the bench, and that requires 3 for the base and 3 for the back, and we're going to be doing, not bench, chairs. We're going to be doing 2 chairs, and then I'm also going to use 3 for the tabletop. And so we're going to put 3 blocks together for the tabletop, and then and here I realized that one of my blocks actually was a little bit shorter than the other, so I'm going to hide it in a bench armrest for my chair. But I'm going to put 3 of those together and do the second chair, and once I get that second chair put together, then we're going to put another 3 together, and we are going to use those for the tabletop. And the tabletop just needs 4 legs on top of these 3 pieces, and that is all we need to do to get the tabletop done. And that'll give the seats, backs and seats, the chairs, the seats and the backs time to dry as we put our table legs on. And once we get those good and secure on here, then we'll finish putting those chairs together. So I am just going to glue 1 back and 1 seat together, and then I glued 2 pieces together for arm rests, and we will glue those onto the chair itself, and then it'll just need legs, and we'll do that for 2 separate chairs. Now you could make as many chairs as you wanted. If you wanted to make a little table, and you could set it with a 4 chairs or 6 chairs and just have a cute little miniature. Speaking of miniatures, when I was in Dollar Tree the other day, I did see that they had a few wooden dollhouse pieces, for those wooden dollhouses. They had a table, they did have some chairs, they had a little couch. I'd not seen those in Dollar Tree before. Have you guys seen those? I can't tell you how much glue I wiped off my fingers working on all these projects. It was kind of like, when you were a kid and you put the Elmer's glue on, and then you could let it dry and peel it off as if you were peeling off a little piece of skin. But anyway, I digress. So I'm going to go ahead and you can see this is where I kind of hide that one piece that's slightly shorter than the other on this little armrest. And we're going to put the second armrest on, and then we'll have both chairs done, and we can start putting the legs on our chairs. And so I am just going to put them on the bottom and then let that part dry, and then once that's dry, then I'll flip them over and I'll put on the second set of legs, and then we're going to take some white chalk paint, and I'm going to give this 2 good coats of chalk paint. Now if I just wanted a dry brush look, that brown paint is actually perfect for the dry brush look, but I wanted these completely painted. And then I've got one of my little flower pots from the Dollar Tree garden section, the tiny pieces, and then I'm just going to take a little piece of that yellow flower and some little green stems, and I'm going to decorate up that flower pot, and that'll be my decor on top of my table. And just a little bit of hot glue to get those stable inside that little flower pot. I did stain my flower pot, just give it a little bit of extra detailed character, and then this project will be complete. I love this flower pot, and I am loving making miniatures. So here we are, all complete, and I just think this is so adorable. And for Christmas, I'm going to use this as part of the decor with the little fireplace piece that we're going to make here in a minute. But I just think that is so sweet. And here's project number 4, our fireplace. And it requires 2 blocks, which is going to be about 3 boxes of the tumbling tower blocks. Now I just wanted this to be neutral colored because I haven't decided yet what I'm going to paint it. I think I may completely detail it out for Christmas, make the little black firebox inside, and put in the little fire with a little grate in there for my fire, and probably take some little fairy lights and make it look like a fire. But here we're going to put together all the pieces that are required to make the front. And the front takes a total of 43 pieces. You're going to have some that go up the side and then some across the top. And I started working on the floor, and then I decided I needed to just finish up with the front piece that I was working on. So we're going to have all these little bundles of 2 that I've put together, and I've made 3 bundles of 4 each, and now we're going to add some additional pieces to the top to make the whole front piece. So you've got 6 bundles of 4, and then you've got all your bundles to get across the top there, and I think there's a total of 19 total blocks across the top. And now we are getting our floor set together. For the floor, you are going to need 7 rows with 7 blocks each in them, and so here we're going to just glue the first row of 7 together, and once we get those all 7 put together, then we will glue each of the 7 rows, and then we'll glue the 7 rows together. That sounded like a lot of togethers. But anyway, if you struggle with making sure that all the blocks are even and level, you can, create a little block for yourself, or use maybe a T-square or something like that, and make sure. But I just kind of evened them up with my hands, and so now I've got the bottom done, and we are working on the back. And so I just took all of the blocks together and glued them in 3s and 4s, and then made stacks of that to put together, rather than just individual blocks, gluing all at the same time. So now that we've got that piece together here, I've kind of figured out a faster way to get that glue done. It's just, since we've got so much time flexibility with the glue drying, I just glued all of the pieces first and then put them together. And now that we've got the sides all put together, we are just going to assemble the whole thing. And we've got our front and our 2 sides, and then we'll put our back on and attach it to the floor. And once that's all done, then this project is complete. And this is a pretty good sizable fireplace, and so I am super excited. Now we're gonna get our top glued together, and again, here's where we've kind of gotten that whole technique of get our glue on, and then we'll put all the blocks together, and then we'll move on to the next little section. And here we are, just getting our top glued on. And I cannot wait to decorate this for Christmas. I don't know if you guys remember, but last year at Christmas, I gave you a picture of one of my fireplaces in my house and how I had it decorated. And I think I want to make a miniature version of that. And here's just a real brief look at the fireplace and the little sitting area I had at Christmas. And I think maybe I'd like to kind of recreate a look like that in maybe a little miniature version. And that will bring us to project number 5. And I was actually making this as a solution to a little problem I have. This mailbox will require 144 blocks, and I'm going to use a combination of the dark wood blocks along with the white wood blocks that are going to be used as kind of the trim at the top of the box. But my little problem is when my husband is traveling, I want to have a place to put his mail so that he can have one space to go look at it when he gets back. And then if he's got something he's got to save and work on, then it can be in that same one spot. I'm kind of a OCD person when it comes to organization and stuff being everywhere, and so this fulfills a need I have for making sure his stuff stays organized. And here's my little quick gluing technique. Just a little bit of glue and get it on all the blocks and then piece them together. And I actually was able to put this together so quickly that the glue wasn't even dry whenever I was taking pictures of it. And once I get all the pieces put together, so there's 6 pieces in each row, and then 5 rows for the front and the back of the box, and then we're going to have 3 rows on each of the sides. And I'm going to use my little clamp here and clamp that together so that that will get some stability as it just really quickly dries. I've found that this wood glue takes probably 20 minutes to get to a certain level of dryness, and then I'll let it dry overnight to get, good and cured. So I'm going to put those 3 pieces together, and then we will fashion the bottom. Now, the bottom I did 3 rows, and I believe they were of 19 blocks each, and we're going to glue all those together. Now I am using an Elmer's wood glue that I found at Pop Shelf for $3, and it works pretty good, but I really love that wood glue by Super Glue that you can buy at the Dollar Tree. But this worked fine for this project, and once I get those pieces together, I've got these little side clamps or corner clamps that I got on Temu, and I'm going to use those to just hold those corners together while those dry a little bit. Actually, probably would have been better to clamp the top and the bottom and let that section dry and then go in and put this together, because what I don't show you is when I take the clamps off, it actually fell apart again. So to do this over, I just used the top clamps and then just did one end and then did the other end. And so here we're going to glue these 3 rows of the bottom together and then finish gluing the box. And this is the perfect size for letter mail. And here I'm going to clamp this up again. I bought this clamp at Walmart, I believe. And then we're just going to fashion the bottom on there and we'll be all done. And so I'll show you how it's just the perfect size for mail. Look at that. And you can stand it up or lay it down. And here it is, all complete. What was your favorite project today? We're going to do a really quick run through of all the projects again here in a minute. But you can see the wood glue isn't even dry whenever I'm taking this picture. It went together so quickly. Once I figured out the quick way of gluing blocks, lickety split. So if you'll comment below and let me know which was your favorite today. We've got our little wood planter bench, and we've got our 2 chairs and a table, and our fireplace, and our mailbox, and then our wishing well. And I thought that wishing well might be useful at New Year's to have everybody put their New Year's wishes in there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, since you stuck around until the very end, I have a hint on one of next week's projects. You're going to need shells. But until then, make it a great day and Happy Tuesday!